Director James Comey testifies before the Senate Intelligence Committee this morning. This is going to be his first public comment since he was fired by the president last month. Prepared remarks by Comey released by the committee detail his interactions with President Trump. Comey says the president asked for his loyalty and asked him to drop a probe into fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn over his lying to Vice President Pence. Some question whether the president's request might constitute an obstruction of justice. Dale Carpenter is both the Atwell Chair of Constitutional Law and also a professor at SMU. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. This is a kind of a bombshell opening statement from Comey that he's going to make today. He's going to be talking about several instances where he just felt like the president acted inappropriately, so much so that he wrote everything down. There's, for example, an exchange at dinner between Comey and Trump, and Trump wants loyalty from Comey. He says, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty. There's another meeting, this one concerning then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, and Comey says the president said, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Comey said that his response was just saying, yep, he's a good guy. So it's clear that Comey obviously felt like the president was acting inappropriately at times, but is there an obstruction of justice? What is clear to me is we don't know if any of this hindered an investigation, slowed down an investigation, stopped an investigation. I mean, that's what we're looking for, right?
Well, the idea of obstruction of justice contains a couple of different elements. One is, did you actually know that an investigation was going on? And certainly President Trump knew that there was an investigation going on. Mm-hmm. Did you do something to try to impede the investigation? And a simple request from the President of the United States to the Director of the FBI to stop an investigation would be that kind of thing. And then third, did you do it with the corrupt intent to stop that investigation? And here's where I think all of the rest of the circumstances that you just mentioned tie into this request.
Okay.
President Trump has the room cleared so that he can have this one-on-one meeting with James Comey. Mm-hmm. He sits him down. He says, do you like your job? The implication being that you may not be in your job very long unless you are loyal to me, as President Trump puts it, according to James Comey. All of those circumstances together, it seems to me, build a potential case for obstruction of justice, which is a violation of the law.
Yeah, now we know Democrat Congressman Al Green from Houston, one of two lawmakers who are expected to submit articles of impeachment against President Trump. What I see could hurt Comey. Comey's a big guy. He's a big guy. He is known to speak up time and time again. A tough law guy. Yet what I thought was interesting was he never truly, when you read it all, he never truly stands up to the president. He never says, no, Mr. President, I'm independent, I'm not pledging my loyalty. He never says, what you're asking me is wrong, what you're asking me is inappropriate. Do you think that can hurt Comey? Do you think that, could have could implement anything in the whole impeachment move?
It's hard to say. I mean, we have to see what happens in this testimony today. Comey was trying to finesse the issue, clearly, with the president. He didn't want to get on the president's bad side. He didn't want to be fired by the president. He wanted to be able to continue the investigation. Mm-hmm. So instead, he goes to the Attorney General and asks the Attorney General, please don't let me alone in the room with the President of the United States again.
Which seemed odd.
Very
if
odd.
Nothing else. I'm not criminal, but odd.
Very odd. I mean, these interactions in which the President is, according to Comey, trying to set up a patronage relationship between the Director of the FBI and the President is extremely inappropriate, very odd in recent American history.
Yeah, what we do see is the testimony revealing that Trump does get assurance from Comey that he's not personally part of the Russian investigation at that time, whenever it is asked at that time. But Comey does say, there's this phone call in March where Comey says that Trump asked what could be done to lift the cloud over him from the Russian investigation. And Comey pretty much says, at least what he says, is that he tells Trump that he's not going to go publicly and say that he's not specifically being looked at as an individual, because at some point he could be looked at.
He could be, and then he'd have to reverse it. He'd have to say publicly, now the president is under investigation, and that raises the cloud even more. And Comey tells the president, the best thing I can do for you is conduct a thorough investigation, make sure there was no wrongdoing, and clear it all up.
Will Comey answer questions today?
He will.
You think so?
I think he will.
Okay, we'll see. You can watch Comey's testimony as it happens. It starts at 9 a.m. Again, Comey's going to be on probably a little bit later. We're going to hear from several different people before we hear from Comey, but it all starts at 9 a.m. That's when our coverage starts. We're going to be live streaming it on fox4news.com. It's also going to be at our Fox 4 News Facebook page as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.